Who is more strict with team?
Sham.
Who has a higher go-getter attitude?
Oh, Priya, for sure. Priya.
Who wins more arguments?
Again, definitely Priya. Come on. I think you know that.
Who speaks less?
Oh, it's hard. I mean, you can see based on how we've been answering your questions, nobody speaks less here, Sadik. You ask us to say 2 words, we are there for 2 hours. So it's hard to get us to speak less, especially about something we care about.
Hello, friends. Hello, and warm welcome to Network FP Success Talks, where you meet, where you gain insights and get inspired from the leaders of personal finance profession. I'm your host, Sadik Nilgund, and with us we have our guest today, special guest, the power couple of the industry and the fraternity, Shyam Sundar and Priya Sundar, founders of Peak Alpha Investments, based out of Bangalore. Welcome, Shyam and Priya.
Thank you so much, Sadik. Very kind of you. Delighted to be here. And I'm so glad to have a chance once again to engage with all of the PFPs that are part of the call today.
Fantastic. Welcome, Priya.
Thank you so much, Sadik. It's of course a pleasure being here. I remember being at your forum in 2019 and interacting with so many people. It was just amazing to see such a large crowd and such a large gathering of like-minded people. And I'm delighted to be here today to speak to them again.
Lovely. Friends, Peak Alpha manages over 1,400 crores of assets for 1,200 clients and with a team of 40 plus team members. What an amazing journey, 19 years. Congratulations to both of you for this journey and welcome once again. So my first question to both of you is this, we called you as the power couple, which you are. And many couples are now founding and running businesses and practices together. Preeti and I being one of them, we found Network FP and we are running Network FP. Just wanted to understand from your perspective, what's the best thing about this arrangement? And what is it that you really hate about this arrangement? Priya, you want to go first? Ladies first?
I think the best thing is that, we share all aspects of our life now. So it's, we are partners in business, we are partners in life. And so there isn't anything that we don't know about each other. We are 24 hours together. So I think that's a good thing. That's great. And also sometimes tends to be not so great thing because we're talking about work all the time. So it's my constant refrain that, when we sit down in the morning with a cup of tea and, we have to consciously make the effort not to talk about work. So we'll start talking about something else, like where are we going to take our next vacation? And somehow, something about work will sort of creep into the conversation and then we'll go into a full-blown discussion. Okay, what are we going to do about this or that? Or how do you solve that problem? So it is that. I think it is the good and the bad of it is that, we are in it together for everything. And the downside is also the same. I think that's what I would say.
I completely get you. Can completely relate with you. And I'm sure many others who are in the same, doing the same will be able to relate with you. Shyam, what about you?
I think the best thing is that we started our journey as a couple a few years before we started Peak Alpha together. Mm-hmm. And the advantage of that is that we kind of knew each other well. We kind of knew what our strengths and areas in which each other needs support were. And that really helped a lot when we started Peak Alpha because we kind of knew, okay, Priya is really good at this, may not be very strong in this area for Shyam. Similarly, Shyam is very good at this. And, so when you come in to start a company, it really helps to have somebody with you whom you know and understand very well. True. You kind of know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And that comes to the fore. So, Sadik, you and Preeti are similar in that you started this Network FP together and it's been a fantastic journey for you. I think you can relate to this. Once you are working with somebody and starting a company together, it's great to have a lot of things that are already sort of given, that are ticked off, ethics and integrity, no problem, taken for granted. capabilities in certain areas, again, tick mark, taken for granted, etc. So it's great to start from that place. Both of us are starting from a place where the people who are on the journey together with us are our spouses, right? But very often in successful partnerships, not necessarily to do with spouses, also you find that a bunch of people who were in college together start a company. And again, having that track record before you have day zero really helps. So I think that has been the best part for me, that I can count on Priya in so many areas. And I've discovered that in the 7 years before we started Peak Alpha. So that was really helpful. I think the challenge Priya has already articulated. The challenge is, you've caught a tiger by the tail and you can't let go, So Peak Alpha is constantly in our lives. So that is a challenge. And I think we're trying to figure out how to strike the right balance.
No really way to draw the line and say, okay, let's switch off from this now.
Yeah.
All right. With that in place, let's move on. Sham, you both are highly educated. You're working in US, and I'm sure you're earning very well, and that too in dollars. So what made you both come back to US in 2005? And if you can take us through how this Peak Alpha really started, from a transition from US coming back to India, and so suddenly I'm not saying suddenly, but sure, it's somewhere this Peak Alpha came up and you said, okay, we'll start this. So if you can take us through that journey.
Absolutely. It'll be my pleasure. So I'll just quickly give you a bit of context as to what we were doing before we started. So my life in terms of professionally has been in 3 parts. I started my career sailing some of the world's largest oil tankers. So I was in the merchant marine for a few years. And then I went and did my MBA from Wharton in class of 1997. And after that, I went into management consulting. So I was working with Accenture in capital markets, and then came to India in 2003 to work for 2 years with Emphasis. And while I was doing that, Priya and I met and got married in 1996.
All right.
And Priya's journey since then has been in business and economic journalism. She got her degree from Northwestern University, and after that started working with one of America's leading law firms in the area of extraordinary ability law petitions. And again, she was working in the capital market space. But one of the things that you do when you're applying for MBA is to write out essays saying, what do you want to do after you graduate? And almost everybody writes the essay saying, I want to start a company. So that has been the thread of our thinking for a long time. We've always wanted to start our own firm. And we thought about all kinds of things. Streaming video was something that we talked about, and so on. So all kinds of ideas. But when we were back in India in 2004, we had an experience with getting financial advice ourselves that we felt was substandard and could have been done a lot better. So then we asked our friends and family and our colleagues at work saying, well, how do you manage your money? And I know we are being recorded, so I should be picking my words carefully. But many people reiterated the same thing, that they didn't have quality advice. They didn't have access to quality advice. And then so Priya and I sat down and said, look, this is kind of staring us in the face. There is an opportunity to help people to manage their money better, to help them achieve their important lives and goals and dreams. So instead of starting a video streaming business or something else, capital markets is something that we are familiar with. So why not build a business in this area where we help people manage their money better? So that is kind of how Peak Alpha started and was founded in 2005.
Got it. And it's okay to be recorded. In fact, I have placed it on records. I'm here today because I experienced mis-selling in 2004. So and many people who are there here today as independents have experienced that and have taken up it as a mission after going through that phase of their life and their
Absolutely, yeah.
So Sham, again regarding the team, you have built a fabulous team of 40 people, a capable team of 40 people. I'm sure all are based out of Bangalore, or it's across places.
All of us are based in Bangalore except one who is based in Kolkata. And so he is a star player of ours, and he needed personal reasons wise to be based in Kolkata. So he's based there. So, but apart from that, the rest of the team is based here in Bangalore. Yeah.
Sure. So, in the first place, it is a commendable job building a team, because our fraternity really struggles with this piece. Everybody knows how to become a star, be a performance, but building a team beyond themselves is always a struggle. So, wanted to understand from you, what is the team organization structure like? What is the departments? What are the lines which you're drawn, where you made some kind of structure within your team? And also wanted to understand, how have you split the responsibilities between Priya and you?
So why don't I start at the end, which is how we have split the responsibilities between Priya and me. So Priya is responsible for our advisory and marketing functions. So the largest team in the company reports to Priya, which is our advisory team. And she's a passionate advisor herself, and so am I. So we handle a small pool of clients ourselves. But apart from that, the rest of our clients are handled by our financial advisors. And all of them report into Priya. We have a marketing function which also reports into Priya. They are responsible for our outreach and making sure that the brand is built and the voice of Peak Alpha spreads as far as it can. I'm responsible for strategy, which is just trying to come up with a view as to where the company is and where it should be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years hence, God willing. Apart from that, I'm responsible for the operations and technology functions as well, and finance. So in a sense, most of the support functions report into me. So HR, finance, operations, technology, all of these report into me as well.
Sure. Now, Priya, you handle marketing. I must say, Peak Alpha has done a very good job with marketing. The kind of awards which you have won, obviously it is for good reason, but I always say doing good is not good enough, right? You need to also ensure that the people know that you are doing good, and you are trustworthy. So congratulations on that part. Wanted to understand from you, the 5,000 clients that you have, out of which 1,200 are active clients, as you call it. First, I want to understand what is active, what is non-active in your scheme of things. And if you can help us visualize this 1,200 clients, their demographics, their income level, their age group, what's the typical client, so that we are able to visualize the ideal client avatar of Peak Alpha.
Right. So we have roughly, we're inching close to about 6,000 clients right now. And I would say that out of this number, about 1,200 families are the ones that we engage in very actively, which is we meet them very frequently. And I would say the rest we have, it's on a fairly ad hoc basis, and they're not just clients who've invested in mutual funds. For example, they could be a mix of mutual funds, people who bought bonds, insurance, and so on and so forth. So clearly the 1,200 families is what we are talking about, where we have that's the active group that we engage with on a very frequent basis. In terms of the demographics, I would say that our clients are generally mid-income, mid-age. So anywhere between 35, when they start to experience life's problems, is when they find relevance in what we do. And so that demographic tends to be sort of in the 30s and beyond. And similarly, in terms of the income structure, I would say that people anywhere between 30 lakhs to 2.5 crores and above are the ones that we also prefer to work with, because I think we bring the biggest value to this demographic and this salary group, because they are facing life's challenges, and they are trying to balance budgets, trying to make sure that goals are met, trying to build for retirement and all of those. And of course, it's a bit of a bell curve. We have, clients on the lower income stream and lower age groups, and on the other end, very high net worth clients as well. But I would say that most of our clients are sort of concentrated in this demographic. So that's where, and in terms of most of these clients are salaried people.
Sure.
Because we live in Bangalore, we are in the heart of the knowledge center. So the clients that we engage with are mostly from the technology industry. But really, I think, in terms of the services that we provide, anybody is welcome. But it just so happens that salaried people are the ones that we actively engage with most.
And what kind of percentage would be beyond Bangalore out of the client base?
I would say that probably maybe about 15-20% outside Bangalore, but most of them are concentrated here.
80% are in Bangalore and 20% out of Bangalore.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Building a client base of 6,000, it's huge. We speak of 100 clients and you're here with 6,000 clients. So wanted to understand what were and it's definitely not possible just with the natural market, right? Whom we know, family and friends being the first people to approach, but beyond that. So how's the journey of acquiring 6,000 clients and how it has changed over a period of time? How it was, let's say, in the first 3 to 5 years, and how it has been in the last 3 to 5 years, the client acquisition channels and strategies.
So client acquisition is an ongoing challenge. I don't think we've ever sort of sat back and said, okay, enough is enough. It's an ongoing challenge. And frankly, I'm amazed by some of the panelists and people on your platform, Sadiq, in terms of the activities that, webinars that they conduct, the activities they conduct, and the number of, client additions that they're able to accomplish. But typically, I would say that, we have a few methods of client acquisitions. They are, of course, through references, through social digital media marketing, through webinars, through organic prospecting, such as I write quite a lot of articles and interviews. We have a chat bot, so we get quite a number of leads through that. We also organize events and gatherings. We also put the spotlight on our customers in terms of the strobe light series. So there's lots of stuff going on. We have events inside the office where recently we started an exercise where we have a group of people who come in, 10 people who come into the office every sort of second Saturday of a month, and we teach them the basics of personal finance. We do this completely, this point, free of cost. We give them lunch, but the aim is to educate. So I would say that when we started the company, we were new to the city. We were new to, the business. Everything was, really starting from scratch. So we had to really figure out how we're going to acquire clients by the busload. It wasn't enough to just acquire clients one by one, because we had fixed costs, we had an office, we had employees, and we had to, really hit the ground running. So Bangalore was new, no experience in the business. How do you go about, acquiring clients? So at that point, we started to conduct these educational workshops in different organizations. I really took that fat telephone directory and started like from A to Z and started calling companies, setting up appointments. Seriously, yeah. I mean, I had this little room. I was like lock myself up the whole day, and I would just cold call HRs of companies and convince them about what we're doing and to give us an opportunity to address their employees. And thankfully, they listened to me, and a lot of them gave us the opportunity. We're very, very thankful to them and to God for giving us that break, because that's what opened the doors to many organizations for us in the initial days. And we acquired a lot of clients that way. And that momentum kept us going for a while. And then when we reached a sort of a critical mass, I would say that perhaps, we took a step back, because then the references started to come in quite actively, and that grew our client base. But of course, COVID struck, and, it became, we used to do physical sessions, then it became like virtual webinars. But I think at this point, we have a mix of many different things going on. We are like firing on many, many different cylinders. So, and I do believe that what worked for us, perhaps, a decade or so ago, is probably not something that we can just solely depend on today. There's just got to be many more things we need to do, and we're also learning and figuring it out. There are different ideas. We always tell our employees that we are a company that loves to give you opportunities and chances. So go ahead and take risks. You have a great idea on your mind, tell me about it. Like Shyam said, I head the marketing team. So if there's a spark that I like, I'm ready to go with it and see how it goes. And if it fails, that's fine. But if it succeeds, we have a great idea and we have a good opportunity there to add clients. So it is really something I would say that the entire advisory team is thinking about, because each of them, we like to think of them as a business unit in themselves, and they have ideas that they want to sort of implement. Actually, within the company, there's one set of employees who report to me. We have a different set of strategies. There's another one that reports to Sham. They have a different set of strategies, and we have like a competition even between the two of us. Every week we meet and we are figuring out who's done better than the other in the previous week. So it's just a lot of fun activities, I would say, and that's eventually led to some good prospecting activities. But it's something that I think, if people enjoy the whole process, it becomes, it becomes easy to do and it becomes sustainable rather than forcing things. So it's a fun activity and all of us are engaged in it.
Fun, and it's very inspiring. I'm really inspired by the fact that you were able to crack the IP opportunities with cold calls. That's huge. I don't know if you realize that, but that's
it's
really
painful,
good.
But yeah, it had to be done. So yeah.
Fantastic.
I developed a very thick skin early on in my career.
All right, Sham, coming to you now. You are the tech guy, Priya is the marketing girl. You're the tech guy, and you are highly tech oriented. And I know that you have implemented a lot of tech based solutions. And if I'm not wrong, you also build in-house some kind of tech solutions, right? So what are the areas, some of the areas in which you have implemented technology and made some big bets that, look, I'm going to drive this through technology, and it has really panned out well for you? And maybe you can also share some of the mistakes around technology, because we all talk success. We do not know how many mistakes we do to achieve that success. Both ways, if you can share some of the aspects around tech.
Certainly. So I think it's important to frame the technology conversation within a broader conversation.
Sure.
So when we started Peak Alpha, I had been working in the intersection of financial services and technology for about 10 years by then, Accenture, then Emphasis. So I'm very comfortable operating in that space. But what is the problem that technology is trying to solve? When we started Peak Alpha, we knew that we were never going to be that company that is just going to be Priya and me. We always knew that it was going to be a company which is a team, and hopefully a continuously growing team. As soon as you have that as a requirement, consistency becomes very important. Right? Now, what do I mean by that? There are two parts to this. One part is, how do you make sure that you are able to have an engagement with a client in about an hour or an hour and a half maximum, in which you are able to conduct a whole conversation, begin at the beginning, end at the end, and touch everything that needs to be touched. And do this repeatedly, right? So that is a process that needs to be framed, that can be repeated over and over again. And the second is, how do I make sure that if a client talks to me or to Priya or to A or to B or to C in the company, they always get the same answer, right? So it shouldn't matter who your advisor is, you should always get the same answer. So if both of these need to be achieved, then it became very important to say, how can I standardize? How can I take a process and make it repeatable over and over again?
True.
And that is where technology plays a very important part. So our first major technology exercise was to take exactly that conversation and make it technology enabled. So there is a beginning, you go to chapter 1. Once you finish chapter 1, you go to chapter 2, and then chapter 3, chapter 4, until you have finished the whole conversation. And at the end of it, you have given a customer in a fixed period of time a good answer.
Right.
So we built our own financial planning application to help us do that. And that what we built in 2005 has had minor iterations, but it continues to serve us very well even today.
Oh.
And so, that really was the first sort of major technology thing that we did. In parallel to that, we also worked on our internal operational technology, because all of us in this group know that operational challenges are something that we encounter every day, and you get a new one every time. So it's important to build a platform that helps us put through transactions reliably. And the advent of NSE and BSE and MFU, all of that also gave us a big jumpstart, because we went from a place where 20% of our transactions were electronic and the rest were physical, to almost in a 6 month to 1 year time frame, 95% of our transactions being electronic and physical. Again, through the use of technology. But the broad sort of principle with technology is that we are delighted and proud of our team. We have a team full of extremely motivated and smart people. We want them to do things that only a human can do. And so if you think about that, if there are things that they're doing that are mechanical in nature, I think it is my job to make sure that that is removed for them so that they come into their work doing things that only they can do. Maybe enable them, but get rid of the boring stuff. And that is a constant exercise for us. So that is the kind of space in which we are going right now. So I don't think we will ever be a company that will, and they say never, but I don't think we will ever be a company where a client will engage with Peak Alpha only through technology. We think that the human interface is very, very important, because when we are working with humans, we need to be humans as well. When they are afraid, we need to be there to calm them down. When they are greedy, we need to calm them down again. So from that perspective, we think at least that to be successful, the human interface is very important. But all of our efforts are to try to make sure that our humans are, our employees are enabled to the best extent that they can. I can't readily recall too many misses from a technology perspective, because we do a lot of soul searching. We are very, very thorough in how we go about approaching the technology that we roll out. There's a lot of process and science to that. So I'm sure if I can think long and hard, we'll be able to come up with a few things that were goof ups that we could have done better. Perhaps one thing is not to lead with the technology for technology's sake. Those instances where we did that, it's very important to make sure that once you made the investment, once you build the technology and put it out, to make sure that the adoption is there, to make sure that subsequent to that, people are actually taking it and making it part and parcel of their business. So one of the bets that we placed, for instance, was we have a team that does scheduling. And we said, let's make their life easier. Let's give the client an opportunity to self-schedule. So we gave them MS Booking, we put it out, we built it, it's there. An email goes out to a client whenever a review is due to say, please click on this and schedule it yourself. But then we moved on, and my expectation was that 30% adoption will be there. We probably have 5% adoption right now. So that's a good example of where technology didn't live up to its potential. So now we got to go back and say, why aren't customers scheduling themselves? Why is it that we still need to put a call out and schedule? And what can we do to improve that? So that's sort of closing the loop and coming back and checking and seeing whether what you did it deliver to its potential? If not, why? That sort of soul searching becomes an important part of this.
True. By the way, I just love the methodical approach which you take to everything, and so calculated, both in doing things and also in speaking. So good, Shyam. If I were to understand, how big is your tech team, and and have you outsourced tech to some third party? How does it work?
Almost all our technology is built using our technology partners. We have a very small technology team in-house. In fact, some time ago, we never had any. And more recently, I think for the past 6 or 7 years, we've had a technology team in-house. Sure. And our principal job of the technology team is to look ahead, figuring out where technology is going, what are the new technologies that are coming up, should we look to bring it into the company, and how, right? And once that is done, then the second part of it is to find out who should build it for us. So then we look around and say, who has unique capabilities in various areas, and try and talk to them and figure out if they can do it for us. Yeah. A big part of what my technology team does is project management. So once you have a technology partner, you get good, bad, and ugly. So sometimes you need to manage that whole thing very carefully, and where projects sometimes run into trouble, to make sure that we bring it back on track and make sure that that happens. So if I was to look at my technology team's time spent, I would probably say 50% in project management, 10% in looking ahead and figuring out what are the new technologies that are out there, and then 20% in vendor selection and internal technology management.
And does this also include, quickly on this point, does this also include implementation of third-party cloud-based softwares like a Calendly or a CRM software and stuff like that?
So where it is ubiquitous and not specific to our industry, we've been very open to adopting, public technology. So for instance, we are fully on the cloud. We work with Microsoft Azure. All of our technology is on the cloud.
Sure.
We use Office 365 for all of our email and SharePoint and OneDrive and all of that. So wherever it is ubiquitous, wherever it is not necessarily financial services technology, but just technology, we are very, very open to that, and we try and bring it on and make things better.
Sure.
But when it comes to financial services technology, we find it a little bit more challenging. Of course, we actively engage with BSE and NSE and platforms like that. But when it comes to, specific to our business, we find it easier to build rather than buy. Maybe because we've been building over the past 18 years, there is certain uniqueness to our data structures, uniqueness to our interfaces. It just becomes that much easier to bolt on a little bit more than to just go out and buy something and figure out how will this connect, what are all the customizations that may be needed. So it's just easier to just build it ourselves. So that's what we do.
Shyam, you also mentioned about robotic process automation, and anything that has this AI, ML, robots is now in buzz. Wanted to understand what this is in your scheme of things, and if you can give one or two examples how this entire robotic process automation has either, there are two things that technology needs to either increase your revenues or bring down your costs, right? So if you can share some of it.
Definitely. It's a very interesting framing that technology should either increase revenues or decrease costs. I would suggest that we look at it potentially slightly differently, because ultimately it may lead to increased revenues or decreased costs. But for us, technology is all about people enablement. If today somebody is spending 100 hours of their day on a variety of things, some of which are either going to increase revenue or decrease costs, and some of which are just grunt work that they are doing. If I can get rid of the grunt work, then more of their time will get freed up either to increase revenues or decrease costs. So all of our effort really is, like I said, we are thrilled every day with the kind of people that are part of our team. And if we can spend more of our time trying to free them up, saying, ye janjat wala kaam chodo, and more fun stuff you do. And if we can do that, so for instance, some of the examples that Priya was talking about, if we can get them to do that, they are happier, and we'll be better. So RPA, or robotic process automation, is such a tool in that area. One case where we very successfully used it is in the case of what happens after an advisor meets with a client. Once the meeting is over, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, whatever that meeting is over, the next thing that we do is write a full report summarizing all aspects of that conversation, where the client is today, what are the goals and achievements that they want to make, where is their portfolio, what were the discussions last time, and did we close out on everything? So all of that comes in a 6 or 7 page report. And that report, manually, each advisor used to create. That used to take on average anywhere between 45 minutes and 3 hours.
Okay.
But a lot of it was mechanical. Go there, copy this chart and paste it into the document, go to that table, get that information, type it into this table, etc. So a lot of it was mechanical in nature. So RPA really helped us in that area, where something that used to take about 45 minutes to do, using RPA, we were able to do it in 5 minutes.
Wow.
So the advisor would get a report that was almost completely finished. All the charts were in place. All the tables were already built. Certain text was also pre-populated, saying that you are either overweight equity, underweight equity. That also used to come. Just customize that, clean it up a little bit. So in 5 minutes, they were able to do that. We became very popular with the advisor team because of that, because suddenly, a huge amount of time was saved, and they were able to do some of the fun things that Priya was talking about. So that is, to me, a good example of RPA. Takes a process that can be automated and try and automate it so you can free the time for the people. And the other thing about RPA is that robots don't take holidays, don't fall sick, and they just are really, really hardworking, right? So they work 24/7. So some of that also is possible, where earlier we used to have a constraint that it has to be done 9 to 6 on weekdays. Now the robot will keep working through the weekend and through the evenings and do whatever we ask it to do. So it's a technology that I'm very excited about. I think it has much wider applications. We use it, for instance, in reconciliation, where 100% of the reconciliations were manually done. Now, I would say 75-80% of them are automatically reconciled. About 20% of it comes for checking for a human to say, I think this is it, please confirm. So then the human does that. And then the last 5% still happens manually. So yeah, we've got some pretty big wins using RPA. It's very different from AI ML. We are just scratching the surface there. But as far as RPA goes, my experience has been a very positive one, and I would recommend it strongly to any.
Would love to know more about it. Thank you so much, Sham, and such deep understanding about the foundation of technology. For many of us, technology is like, with software and how much does it cost? But there's so many more questions to ask about technology adoption than these two things. Fantastic. Now coming, Priya, to you, I was very keen to understand. You have been managing clients, and I'm sure many of them are working with you from the last 5 years, 10 years, maybe 19 years since the time you started, right? How do the client expectations change over the period of time? Because in the early phase of the client relationship, there are a lot of wins. Clients see a lot of changes. Okay, things are getting streamlined. I have my portfolio in place. You get to see some returns and stuff like that. But over a period of 5 to 10 years is, I'm sorry to relate, but even in a marriage, sometimes the relationships get boring, right? And some clients might experience that. So how do we keep the clients engaged over a long period of time of beyond 5-10 years, and how do we add value beyond 5-10 years?
A great question, Sadiq. Generally in our industry, there is this big question being asked about value. So a lot of soul searching in terms of how we can deliver value to our clients. And we certainly can't say that value is equal to return. It's obviously much more than that. And I don't believe I'm an expert in advising PFPs on how to deliver value, but for whatever it is worth, I'd like to share a few points. So when I reflect over the relationships I've had with clients over all of these years, there are many different aspects to which we have added value apart from just delivering returns on the portfolio. It's also education and knowledge sharing. It's letting them, become very consciously aware of specific behavioral biases that they have. It's a lot to do about preventing them from making mistakes in their financial decisions that are absolutely not right for them, no matter how tempting it is on the face of it. And so much about the interactions we have with our clients is about stopping them from making these mistakes. One thing is about the growth of the portfolio, making the right decisions, but it's also stopping them from making the wrong decisions. I also work with a lot of women clients, and I also wear on the hat of being a counselor, a shoulder for them to lean on when they are facing a difficult situations. I've had, my clients call me at, different times of the day and for things completely unrelated to, finances, and I'm there for them. And it's also, going that extra mile, connecting them to other people that could help them out in other aspects of their life. For example, so overall, you make a positive difference in their life. So for example, if a client needs a medical practitioner or a chartered accountant or a counselor or a therapist or whoever, we have so many accomplished people in our client base, and we're happy to refer them to each other. And it also builds a very large level of stickiness among our clients that, they would lose this advantage if they didn't work with us. And I think above all, the reason we are here is to help them, achieve financial milestones without much stress. So there are so many things that go into building value that it is hard to pinpoint, one or two of those. And it's important to know also that when, we add value, the opportunity to add that value is not consistent across clients. Now, some interactions are not that demanding, of course, in terms of value add, and some of them are hugely demanding. It's like how a pilot flies a plane, and in that flight journey, it's 99. It's often said that it's 99% boredom followed by 1% of sheer panic or terror. For most of the plane journey, you can put your plane on autopilot. But the most challenging part of the flight is when you're landing the aircraft, and it requires extreme skills, especially in adverse conditions. So similarly, along a client journey, I do feel like there's probability of so many things going wrong. So when we think about the opportunity to add value, some of these client interactions are, like I said, extremely straightforward, that the decisions that you've taken for them in the whole course of their journey with us have been good decisions. The markets have, been buoyant. Everything has worked out well. They're happy with you. But there are also some decisions that cause extreme stress. And even though they may have been taken keeping the client's best interest in mind, they have, for whatever reason, gone horribly wrong because either the markets have done something completely unexpected, or the industry or the regulator has done something that was not foreseen. So those are the times that the PFP advisor has to earn his or her keep and deliver value during those times. It's like the pilot I was saying. It's that 1% of the time where things go wrong and where you have to, demonstrate value there. And it's definitely possible that so far in a PFP may not have had the opportunity to deliver that value in the first few years of the relationship. And like I said, it may have cruised because of so many good things that happened. The markets were buoyant, the choices that you made were good, all of that. And as an advisor, you walk on water, but we earn our keep and we earn our place under the sun only in those difficult times. And that can happen at any point of time. So I would say delivering, a great service in an advisory business, it's hard to define it, and great service alone is not a good differentiator. You can't put through transaction in X number of hours or do all of that and deliver a great service. Of course, you have to do that. That's just part of the game. But just going over and above all of that to deliver this holistic client experience is what I believe creates that stickiness among your clients. And to deeply engage, and if you look at our client base, we have a very diverse client base, and the ability to deeply engage in that diverse client base is another challenge that we face. And I'll hark back to what Shyam just said, that if you're able to remove all of those things that our advisors don't need to do and focus really on client satisfaction and making their experience much more than what they expected, I think we're doing a good job if we do that. So yeah, I would say that's how we deliver value to our clients.
Sure. A related question, much of the 1,400 crores of assets which you manage, I'm sure it's in mutual funds. And these days, mutual funds, there is regular and direct, and, we are all facing, and you being, at the center of highly informed investor, Bangalore, highly tech savvy guys, they know everything. So what are the key, 2 or 3, objectives with which the investor comes to us, and what help he or she is seeking, and how do we deal with this direct versus regular? I'm sure you're getting it and you're overcoming that question, just like the rest of the industry and the fraternity.
Hard question to answer. Top 3 objectives.
I mean, returns is something everybody takes for granted, right? Everybody wants returns.
Yeah. I believe that when we onboard a client, the initial goals and objectives seem to be fairly standard, what they approach us with. It's retirement, it's buying a home, it's children's education, building your rainy day fund, leaving behind a legacy. Some of them come to us because, they are contemplating a career change. They don't know what decisions to make. Some of them want to start a business, don't know how to go about it. Are they in the right financial space to be able to do that? Sometimes people come to us because they have no clue how to get out of debt, managing irregular income streams, layoffs, so on and so forth. There are problems that are there, and but I think that where we make the difference is to surpass all of these things, which I think is the standard things that anybody would be able to help them do. But I think where we make the difference is to help them visualize and dream about a future and a degree of financial freedom that will enable them to live their life, not just being financially secure, but to also be on the most efficient wealth creation frontier. What do I mean by that? It's not enough to just retire comfortably. What kind of retirement, for example, are you envisioning? what does it mean if I gave you a blank sheet of paper and I said, if you were 60 and you had the best retirement of your life, what would that look like? And let's see your most impossible dream. Can we make it happen? All of these, of course, along the course of your whole journey, it's possible for us to do. We're trained to do that. But can we do much more than that? We call ourselves, we say, Peak Alpha's tagline is got a dream, we're your team. So what's your dream? So we really want to, scratch the surface, dig deeper, and then figure out what is it that, would really set you ticking and, give you that kind of joy and pleasure in life that just goes beyond the mundane. So at Peak Alpha, we have a standardized process and in which we approach client engagements, but it is also highly personalized at the same time. And we, of course, believe that standardization improves efficiency and also ensures growth, both not just for us, but also for our clients. But it also delivers a very high quality experience. And like Shyam said, whatever aspects of an advisor's life that don't require that person's expertise, we remove it so that we focus on making that client experience top notch. I think, that's where we think we deliver that value. So it's, like I said, hard to point out those three things, but it really is all of it coming together and say that if you work with Peak Alpha, it's we go a little bit beyond the mundane and try to do a lot more for you.
I love the fact that, you focus on helping the clients visualize the future,
Yeah.
Otherwise, the clients are so busy just fixing things today and running off after some of the targets which we give them. Okay, you need to accumulate 3 crores of corpus. Okay, run behind that. Okay, yes. If you want a car, okay, run behind that. But there's something much more, much beyond than what you are currently thinking. And if we as financial advisors and personal finance professionals can help them visualize and get into that space, that itself is a great value add.
And that may answer the second part of your question, which is direct versus regular versus, doing it on a platform. I mean, they will do things for you up to a certain point. I think after that, you need some human intervention. And for you to be able to think like this and for us to be standing by your side and help you achieve that impossible dream. Dream about it first and then see whether it's possible. And it's an impossible dream, so what? Let's see how far we can go. It would still be a good journey to go through. So that's what gives us the highs in life. I think, being in this business and working with so many clients, what gives us the highs to see them achieve these milestones? Pretty much nothing else. Yeah.
And can I just come in?
If you have a dream, make your team. What was that?
Got a dream, you're your team.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lovely.
Sally, can I just add something to what Priya said?
Yeah.
One of the things that I think has helped us through design or luck has been that we didn't set out to be everything to everybody. And because of that, we were able to pick a certain client segment where what we had to offer was relevant. Right? So right at the outset, we said we don't want to be in a horse race where they get 6 people together and said, now run, and whoever runs the fastest is the winner, right? We said we don't want to be in that game. And that game, I think, is played in 2 demographics that we avoided. One was the 23, 24, 25-year-old kid whose face has a brilliant smile because there's no worries in their life at this point yet. And all they really want to do is to take a little bit of their disposable income and say, how fast can this go? Right? Where can they invest to maximize returns? And in that context where the focus is almost entirely on returns, it is not about relationship, it is not about the overall setup, then it becomes a race to the highest return this month, this year, this quarter, etc. And we said that's not a game that we want to play. That's not a game that we would be very good playing because we're not stock pickers. We want to be having the kind of conversations that Priya was talking about, which is let there be a few worry lines on their forehead, let them about to get married or newly married, starting to think about children. Then the conversation is not about highest return. The conversation is about how do I achieve my life's most important dreams?
Absolutely.
And when we frame that, and that we are good at framing, we are good at taking a client and think through that whole picture about where you are now, where do you want to get to, and what role should money play in that journey. Right? We have a very good way in which we can conduct that conversation. And so the client then, of course, wants to maximize returns, but wants to maximize returns from the perspective of their overall personal context.
Mm.
And when they have that, of course, they would like to see if they can take a little bit of money off their expenses, but that is not their number one. It may be number 3 or number 4 or whatever. And I think the other thing is that through this journey, one thing is we have taken enemies and made them our friends throughout, right? So when we started, insurance was our enemy. Yeah, in a sense, we said mutual funds are the most efficient. Why should you do ULIPs and all of that? Then 2 or 3 wise men from the insurance industry came and met with us and said, the way you're thinking about it is not right. This is a better way to think about it. So enemy became a friend. Then stocks, single stocks and stockbroking. That was an enemy, not a good idea. Then that became a friend. Now, similarly with regular versus direct, so we tell the client and we are completely transparent. And we say, this is the amount of money that we make. You can choose to either pay us that money directly yourself, in which case we don't want the commission, or you can choose to pay it to the fund house and the fund house will pay it to us. However you like. Do you want convenience or do you want cleanliness?
True.
If you want cleanliness, we'll go the direct route, but keep in mind there that we'll have to invoice you and we'll have to keep the accounts going. There's a little bit of more work that we'll need to do. We will pass on those costs to you as well.
True.
But if you want convenience, none of this invoicing process and all of that, we'll tell you how much we are making. If you're comfortable with that, then all is good. So trying to take enemies and make them our friends, we'll try to keep on doing that because I think it works well.
Lovely. And I love the fact that, both of you are so good with framing things, just the context setting, expectation setting, and framing at the beginning of relationship makes so much difference to a relationship. Fantastic. The next question is a little philosophical. I want you to answer in like one word or maybe 2 words. Okay. 1 or 2 words max. We all relate 1,000, the number of the crores of assets that we have, 100 crores, 500 crores, 1,000 crores. In your case, 1,400 crores. What does this mean to you beyond the number? Shyam and both of you. Or
shall I take it? So basically, I think 2 answers. You wanted in 2 words?
Whichever way.
So 2 words I would say basically is trust and gratitude, right? So 1,400 is a milestone on a journey. So whether it's 1,400 compared to 14 crore or 140 crore or 1,400 or hopefully one day 14,000, it's a journey. We are just going down that journey. And to me, that is a representation at every point in time about the fact that some fantastic people have chosen to put their trust and faith in us.
True.
First and foremost is our clients. They not only invest with us, they invest in us. They tell us their most deep secrets. They may tell the doctors some of their secret, and then the next person is their financial advisor. They tell us everything or many, many things. So they are investing in us as much as we are investing in them. Then the next is our employees. I mean, they have chosen to build their career with us. They could be anywhere. They have chosen to work at Peak Alpha. And the third is our partners. We could not do anything that we are doing right now if we didn't have our mutual fund partners, insurance partners, technology partners. We couldn't do any of it. So I would say at every point in time, that number means gratitude. The fact that so many people have chosen to come on this journey with us and invest in Peak Alpha so that we could invest for them, we feel tremendously grateful for that.
Yeah, sure. Priya, you want to add on? Or it's
Struggling to find a word, but I would say I consider AUM to be a bit of an artificial number because it doesn't say anything about how good you are as an organization, a company, or how good you are as an advisor. What's the quality of advice that you're providing? It doesn't say any of those things. It's an interesting number because it gives you some view, some insight into how large your practice is, perhaps gives you some insight into the number of employees you may have to be able to manage that AUM. It may give you some insight into the number of clients or the concentration of clients that you have. But it really is, from that perspective, a bit of it's from my perspective, I would say it's artificial because AUM, first of all, is not the only source of revenue. It may be a very large source of revenue. It may not be the only one. There can be several aspects to revenue generation. You can charge fees, you can, sell other products apart from mutual funds. But most importantly, I would say is that we are in the business of helping people, like I said, realize their life's most cherished dreams. We are the custodians of our clients' money. And we need to give them access to that money when they need it. This is not our money. So being attached to that number is not very healthy. I do believe, though, that being attached to the number of customer additions is very healthy. If you are 6,000 today, why can't we get to 10,000? Why can't we get to 50,000 or a lakh or even more? Because Peak Alpha is all about touching lives, as many lives as we can. And that is what drives us. And a larger AUM is a means for us to achieve that goal a little more easily. So it's a means to an end and not an end in itself. And that's how I would consider AUM.
Lovely, lovely. Trust and gratitude, being a custodian, and driving and touching lives. That is a much more important number. Fantastic. Shyam and Priya, I'll have a quick, rapid fire with you. I'm doing this for the first time. Let me try it out in the next 2-3 minutes. Okay. Are you game? Are you game for this?
Sure.
I'll stick to your professional life. I'll not get into your personal space. So be assured and be calm, be relaxed. Okay. So quickly, and I'll ask you a question, and you both will say immediately what comes to your mind. And it's about, you will say, if I ask you something, according to you, who is doing that the most or whatever, and it will be between both of you only. Okay, Shyam and Priya. So first, who is more strict with team?
Shyam.
Shyam is quite okay. Who speaks?
No, I agree.
Okay. Who speaks less?
Oh, it's hard. I mean, you can see based on how we've been answering your questions, nobody speaks less here, Sadik. We just, you ask us to say 2 words, we are there for 2 hours. So it's hard to get us to speak less, especially about something we care about.
All right. Who has a higher go-getter attitude?
Oh, Priya, for sure. Priya, she is the one who sets targets for the company. She's the one who wants to really push all of us forward. So definitely Priya.
Lovely. Okay. Who wins more arguments?
Again, definitely Priya. Come on. I think you know that.
You want to add on? Or it's a PR exercise?
Sorry, I just didn't catch that.
I said Shyam is being good, or is it so?
No, I think so far he's been pretty accurate.
All right. All right. Next one is who laughs more often?
Me.
Lovely. Lovely. One last one. Today is a Teacher's Day, September 5th. Who is a better teacher amongst both of you? And do you both do a lot of customer client education and investor education? Who is a better teacher amongst both of you?
Excellent trainer. I mean, we have Thursday sessions, training every Thursday for 3.5 hours. Morning, it starts at 9:30, 10 o'clock, it goes on to 1:30 every Thursday. And the trainings that he conducts are fantastic. So whether it's mostly with the advisory team, but he trains them in a way that it's fun, and whatever aspect of it is, it's just something that we all, including me, we look forward to it every Thursday. So he's definitely the better trainer.
Lovely, lovely, fantastic. Both of you, Shyam and Priya, lovely. Had a great conversation with both of you, and
thank you so much.
And the chat, the last one, the rapid fire was actually more fun than what I expected. Thanks for being a sport and being a game. Thank you so much. Friends, here it is, Shyam and Priya, for you all. I opened up the chat. Shyam, you want to add on something last?
Yeah, 100%. I want to add on something, Sadik. So I want to take a minute to talk about Team Network FPN, Sadik, if you don't mind.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
We are all in our respective wells, right? So we do our work. We think, our peak alpha is the world. There is nothing that is outside. We are also hungry for people who have that ability to span various organizations and bring that perspective and thought process together. That will help each one of us. And in that environment, Sadik, Preeti, and Network FP are really special. They're really special because they've been able to, over the last many years, bring all of us together, give us an opportunity in which we can exchange our views and thoughts. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I have to say that, it's been a pleasure knowing you for all these years. And, Network FP has already made significant progress. And I'm sure where you're going to go is going to be so different and so much better and so much bigger than everything that you've done so far. So I wanted to wish you and the team the very best. And, may you keep doing what you do so well for much longer.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate those kind words. Priya, any message from you for the fraternity, for Network FP? I'm not asking you to praise us, which Shyam has done very graciously, very, so kind of him. Anything for the Network FP community and the PFPs in general? Friends, I opened up the chat. One word for these conversations which we had for the last 50, 60 minutes now. Please put one word or what was your key takeaway in the chat. Over to you, Priya. In the meanwhile,
as Shyam was saying, we get very caught up in our daily activities, and we may think about contributing to society in various aspects, and we definitely do that when it comes to clients and client management, and the difference we bring to their lives. But I do believe that our fraternity is very small, and there's a huge need for good advisors, people who direct investors in the right direction. And even though we want to do a lot in that space, time is a constraint. And so platforms like yours, people like you who get us all together, share our ideas, best practices, things that we do well, things that we can improve upon, is really, for us, it's like getting everybody together and listening to all the best ideas. And truly, we've listened to many of the people speak on your platforms and invite from those and improve our practices also that way. So for us, it's hugely time saving, and for us to contribute to your platform and to hear others speak, I feel is a form of CSR as well, because it is the need of the hour. People need a lot more advisors. They don't get that, and may our tribe increase. And all that you do to help our tribe increase is something that I'm extremely grateful for. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shyam and Priya. And, it's just like, you both have been mentioning, we have a fantastic team who puts in a huge amount of work and passionately does what they do. And apart from team, obviously, we have a lot of volunteers. The community is so heartening to see the community coming back and contributing to each other. We are facilitators. We are doing our job. Thanks for acknowledging Shyam and Priya. So, and all the chat that is coming up for you both, it's fantastic, great, excellent session, very inspiring. We are custodian of clients' money, motivational, awesome insights and clarity, togetherness, brilliant. Key takeaway today that we are the custodians of clients' money. Lovely, excellent session, inspiring, very good. Mr. Sundar, practice what he teaches. Thank you so much, friends. So glad, blah, blah. Okay, all the things that are coming up on the chat, all the love and respect for you, for all the great work which you're doing. Wish you and your team all the very best, and keep marching forward. And we look forward to see greater heights of Peak Alpha in the coming days. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sadik. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you found it to be of some use. And the last thing I would say is we are, as an industry, poised at a very interesting place, a very exciting place. India as a country is poised to become one of the world's most exciting demographics and economies. That is a nice road that is sitting in front of us. People are going to continue to need advice, and therefore people are going to continue to need PFPs. And so the opportunity is very, very big. Please gear yourself up to take advantage of that opportunity, because I think the next 10 years are going to be fantastic.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Shyam. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care, sir. Bye. Bye, Priya. Bye, Shyam.